Hey. Don't mind the spelling mistakes, English isn't my first language. One day, when I was 14, and looked way younger, I was with my dad in an sack, alcohol-only store, and as my dad looked at some wine bottles, I wandered around, looking at some bottles with pretty labels. I was wearing a bright pink shirt and a skirt, I had no fashion sense, and the store's employee wore dark red shirts and black pants. This lady walks up to me and asks where the vodka and rum were located. I didn't understand at first, and just told her I didn't know. She looked insulted and, in a semi-yelling voice, told me, "Well, you should know that. You should try to be more respectful and help me." Confused, I just answered, "Well, I don't know where the vodka or the rum are, and I'm confused as why I should know that and how it's disrespectful." She was pissed. She started yelling that I should know the store better and should be more polite and how she was gonna call the manager, and then stormed off. At that point, my father heard a part of the conversation and came to me asking what happened. I told him, and he looked as confused as me. The lady came back with a man in the store uniform plus a tie. The lady is now red and angry. She's telling him about how his employees are rude and don't know anything. The man looks at me and starts laughing, along with my dad and me. I asked her, "You really thought I worked here? I'm not even old enough to drive, let alone drink." She looked shocked, then offended. She stormed away without buying anything. Had a great laugh. Edit, whoa. This blew up. Didn't expect that at all. When I was around 19 years old, I was at the mall with my two friends. We were in a shoe store, trying on shoes. There was a middle-aged couple in the very large store, and two employees in their uniforms who were at the registers, but otherwise the store was empty. I noticed the woman customer staring at me out of the corner of my eye, but I wouldn't look. The woman then started saying, "Hello? I need you to come find me a pair of shoes." Louder and louder as I continued to ignore her, proceeded shopping and trying on shoes. She was getting pretty mad. I knew she was talking to me, but I refused to look or say anything because I obviously didn't work there and her tone was disrespectful. I was wearing a sundress, high heels and had my purse, so I'm not sure why she thought I was an employee in the first place. The employees were wearing matching uniforms, certainly not dresses with heels, and they were clearly standing at the front of the store at the registers. Well, I refused to look over and she started getting really nasty. "Hey you. I'm talking to you. What the hell do you think you are doing? I need your help." I can't believe she is refusing to do her job. Her husband told her quietly she doesn't work here, she's another customer, but she wouldn't listen. She kept going on and on in a huff. I walked over to my friends, we all laughed and left. I just couldn't believe she was so pig-headed. She still kept going on even after she was informed she was wrong by her husband. Bet that was fun car ride home for him, yikes. Lol. Peace. Just found this sub and thought it would be fun to share my experience. Some pretty funny stories on here. People can be crazy sometimes. So this is the first time I've really had an "I don't work here" moment, and it's a little different from most because, most unfortunately, I do work there, but am currently off due to a recent biopsy/being on holiday, so apologies if this doesn't fit in here. So a couple days ago I had decided to head into the shop I work at to get some things for dinner, seeing as it's cheaper with my employee discount than having it ordered in. I'm also on the days where I'm expected to start being mobile but not do too much heavy lifting, so I wasn't going in for a lot. I'm in the most obvious non-uniform outfit possible, a pair of loose-fitting cotton trousers that honestly could pass as PJ pants, and an oversized black hoodie. I looked like I'd just blown in from off the street honestly, but didn't give a damn at this point. So it's clear I wasn't into work. However, most regulars can recognize me easily because I have multicolored hair and no one else really looks like a unicorn puked a galaxy on their head. I had my AirPods in as I was wandering around, or waddled in my case really, when I stopped to chat to one of my colleagues who was in. We talked about how my biopsy went, if I was in pain etc. before she quickly asked me where something was. She's still a very new colleague, I told her, stuck my AirPods back in, and old lady shuffled away. A couple of minutes later I'm down the pet food aisle, wanting to get treats for my puppy, when I feel harsh tapping on my shoulder. I jump at and end up twinging my biopsy site a little, So now I'm in mild discomfort. Looking over, I see one of the most hated regulars. She's always a Karen, who seems to wake up and choose violence on a daily basis. There's always problems with her, and honestly I would rather stand toe-to-toe with the Balrog on speed than deal with her any day. I pull out an AirPod and hear that she's already mid-rant about how rude I am for ignoring her. She's been after my attention for 5 minutes. What kind of employee am I? I can help out a coworker but not a customer and blah blah blah. When she finally finishes her tirade, she points to one of the heavy bags of cat litter on the top shelf and demands I get it down for her. I calmly explain that I'm not allowed to do any heavy lifting ATM, and as I'm not actually working I'm not allowed to anyway as per the store policy, due to the fact that top shelves are for storage and require foot tools to reach. With the not-so-subtle suggestion of go get someone else. Well, this Wang's trumpet is having none of it, demanding I help her as she knows I work here. If I don't she'll get the manager. I'm just making up a bullshit excuse not to help her, yada yada. So while she's mid-rant I simply grab the treats and walk away. I duck into the crisp pile where thankfully I bump into my boss. I quickly explain how I've pissed off our resident Karen just as she catches up and demands my help again. My manager thankfully stepped in and told her how I'm not obligated to help off the clock while making a small gesture to me to just go there, which I happily do, all while she is getting more and more pissed and insistent that I get the sack for refusing to help her. I get to the till and have a quick giggle about it with my work friend who was serving, then got the hell out of Dodge before I could experience the return of the Karen on my way out. I know it's not that exciting but thought you might enjoy. Let me preface this by saying that this is not my story, it's my friend's, but I was with him at the time it happened. We were at this shopping center buying stuff for our annual camping, fishing summer trip a couple of years before the world went mad. As both of us were already almost done with the needed goodies, and just had to buy some extra cans, one folding camping chair, and possibly a thermos, I can't recall the exact things to save my life, and it doesn't really matter. We were in our off-road outfits, leather, boots, camo clothes and backpacks. An older gentleman was in the same aisle as us. His cart was left a little away from him, as he didn't want to push it all the way. He was using a walking cane. He then approached us and asked us where the croissants were. We had already passed the food area, and we also knew that in order for him to get there, he would have to limp over to his cart, and then all the way back to us and to the other aisle. My friend asked him if that was his cart. The gentleman nodded and pointed at it. My friend then said, "Stay here, I'll get it for you," and quickly went and got it. The old man said thanks and went on with his hopping. Enter the woman. As my friend and I returned to our browsing, we saw what I can easily describe as the most beautiful woman I have seen in my life. Just a tad younger than us, long straight blonde hair, the bluest and whitest eyes that ever existed on a human, tall, slim, extremely well dressed, classy black heels, the kind of woman you'd think only exists after a few weeks of extensive Photoshop effort. Apparently she had seen my friend run to get the gentleman's cart, because she threw the bluest glance towards him, raised her hand and, I kid you not, snapped her fingers and pointed towards her own cart. We looked at each other, and my friend actually looked at himself, his camo clothes and leather boots, and looked back at me with a dude what look on his face, while I was mouthing a silent wow back at him. We did nothing. She then took a longer look at us, raised a perfectly done eyebrow and said with a voice like a steel fist in a velvet glove, "Well?" My friend, always the way one, said, "I actually am well, thanks." "Aren't you going to get my car to the register?" she asked, her eyes never leaving his face, obviously making him uncomfortable. "Why?" he said, unsure how to react. "Isn't that your job?" Years of reading stories on this sub, and 500+ videos on Dark Fluff's YouTube channel came crashing in. She thought we worked there. We often exchanged links, and read stories together, so we knew. We also knew that the only way to shut down a situation like this is to out-Karen the Karen. From this point on, I was just an observer. He, "I'm sorry, miss, I don't work here." She, "What do you mean?" He, "I don't work here." She, "But I." He, "I don't work here." And he clapped his hands to emphasize don't. She, "Well, I." He, "I don't work here," with claps on every word. She puffed, turned around on her heels and started walking away so fast it looked like those 1000% sped up jump scare gifs. She got like 50 feet away, then she stopped, and walked back to us. I thought to myself, holy hairy jumping shitballs, here we go again. She said to him in a stern voice that demanded attention, listen. I braced for impact. She took a breath and said, I just wanted to apologize. My brain gears screamed, begging for some WD-40. Like, Karen apologizes? What? I can see my friend is as baffled as a giraffe at a typewriter. He, there's no nay. She, I am sorry. He, really, miss, it's not. She, I am sorry. He, but. She, I am sorry. With claps on every word. I couldn't take it anymore. I burst out laughing. I haven't laughed like that since I can't remember. I fell to my knees, I got tears in my eyes, boogers coming out, the whole shebang. It was the funniest thing ever. Seeing my friend's mouth open and close several times only made it even harder. I then saw that she can hardly contain her own laughter. Finally, the absurdity of the situation hit my friend as well, and he roared his way down to the floor next to me laughing his butt off. Turned out she wasn't a Karen at all, she just honestly thought we worked in the outdoor aisle in our outdoor clothes, and was trying to apologize after the first time he told her that wasn't the case, but he did not let her finish a sentence in his effort to out-Karen the Karen. What happened after that, you ask? They are expecting their second child this autumn. Bit of a different type of idol here, mods, feel free to direct me to a more appropriate sub if this is the wrong place. I worked in a pharmacy part-time while I was in college, and then full-time for a year when I graduated. I quit to take up my first real job in Jan 2013, but I had a great relationship with the manager and my colleagues, and I was asked if I'd be interested in working one Sunday a month for some extra cash and to stay on the books in case real job didn't work out. I agreed, and for about a year I covered occasional Sunday shifts whenever needed. My manager left in 2014 and a new one came on board. He understood the arrangement and said he'd keep it going, but I didn't hear from him for a couple of months. He rang me one Thursday to see could I cover the Friday. I explained again that I only really did Sundays when needed. He accepted that, and I never heard from him or anyone there again. Fast forward to a few weeks ago, at least 8 years since I last worked a shift there, I get a call from HR lady asking me was I still available to work. I said no, explained what had happened. I am not interested in Sunday retail shifts. HR lady says fine, in that case she needs a letter of resignation dated back in 2014 for their records. I say no, I'm not doing that. I never resigned. I was made effectively redundant as I wasn't offered any hours. She says if I don't submit a backdated letter of resignation then I must still be available to work, so can I send her my available hours Monday to Sunday between 9-6. I say nope, not doing that either. I'm not available to work. She keeps repeating that I either resigned back in 2014 or I still work there. I say that none of it is my problem. I never resigned, so I'm not giving her paperwork to that effect, and I no longer work there. It's not up to me to correct their records for them. She told me she couldn't understand why I had a problem backdating a resignation, and in the end she told me she was ending the call because we weren't getting anywhere. I've checked all my tax certs and allowances dating back to 2013, and because I transferred all my tax credits and allowances over to my new jobs there's no effect of my 0-hour contract from the pharmacy. It was just weird that they clearly had realized I was a floater in my system and they didn't have a procedure in place other than insisting I was still an employee and I had to either officially quit or else make myself available to work some shifts. I'm tempted to see if I'm due any severance or holiday pay for the years I worked there but didn't work there, just out of spite. Edit, I'm in Ireland BTW, at-will employment isn't a thing here. The process of leaving a job is pretty heavily regulated and there's a whole bunch of legal stuff that needs to happen that never did.